The first time I was really drawn into this subject, I was just telling His Excellency Senator Azamat and his party that in 2005 and 6, it was 2005 or 6, I was at a reception in Islamabad. It was a diplomatic reception. And a gentleman came up to me and he asked me this question. I didn't know at that time who he was. He said, "Where are you from?" So I said, "From Islamabad." He said, "No. Where are you from originally?" I said, "Well, my family is originally from Thermos." And he said, I told you he was talking to his colleague. And that ambassador later on, I found out to be was Arif Osmanov, who was here. And at that time also, he was an ambassador. So it was the second tenure. So I continued to ask him that, how did you know by my face that I have some connections, my family has some connections with Central Asia? He says, I don't know, but I just knew. So this is the type of interaction we have, It was amazing, and that set me off thinking that, there's so many things we don't know about each other. And that is why when I was in the think tank, we started especially to have interaction with the Uzbek think tanks. And for that, I must thank Ambassador Furqat at that time, Ambassador Arif Usmanov, Ambassador Alisher, who have been very helpful in this regard in increasing the interaction between think tanks. We have a lot of interaction with ISRS. We have a agreement with them, and of course others also. These are the little things which highlight what are our connections. We had invited Mr. Vladimir Nurov at that time, who was heading the ISRS, to Pakistan. And he was traveling on the motorway from Lahore. The flight had landed at Lahore to Islamabad. And on the way, we stopped at what is known as the Takht-e-Babar in Kalar Kahar. Now, this is a small monument which nobody really knows much about. And it was a surprise to Mr. Nurov also, who had been the foreign minister of Uzbekistan and so on. And he was surprised, and then he sat there. Well, this was a place in Kalar Kahar where Babur had stopped and had addressed his troops and probably the local population also. So, gentlemen, the lands of today's Pakistan and Uzbekistan have been linked since the Silk Road days, as have been pointed out by most of the speakers. And the caravans from Tashkent, Samarkand, Bukhara, Andijan have traveled through Afghanistan and the Indus Valley, into the Indus Valley, bringing not only the commodities like silk, spices, etc., but the main thing they brought was ideas and culture through books and scholars. So this was the advantage which the Silk Road gave us. The constant flow of people and knowledge has shaped the urban centers like Lahore, Multan, and even Thatta in Sindh. And they laid the foundation of a common cultural heritage that still inspires both nations. The area which is now Pakistan has always been part of a Central Asian empire. And President Shaukat Mirziyo very rightly had highlighted this in one of the meetings in Tashkent, that Pakistan must be treated like a Central Asian country. So, I tell you, President Shaukat Mirziyoyev is a visionary. The amount of development which I have seen in his time, even before that, but basically in his time, is really a credit to him. When I visited Uzbekistan for the first time in 1999, it took us 9 hours from Tashkent to Samarkand by train. And now it takes 2 hours and another half an hour to Bukhara. So this is the type of development which has taken place, the foundation of which was the Silk Road, and the interaction. The most profound connection with this area has been through Islam and has very rightly been brought out by Ambassador Sipra. The Naqshbandi Sufi order, which originated in Bukhara under Hazrat Bahauddin Naqshband. I have been to his mazar. And this spread widely not only in Pakistan and the subcontinent, but throughout the world. I was surprised to find, I was ambassador in Bosnia, and there's a very famous place there where the Naqshbandi saints who are buried, they came much before the Ottomans. And they were preaching Islam in the 13th century in a place, Bosnia, at that time nobody knew. So the teachings of discipline, devotion, and social reform have inspired generations of scholars who played a key role in reviving Islamic values during the Mughal period. A word about the word Mughal, which has very rightly been brought out numerous times before me whenever I visited Uzbekistan. And today, His Excellency Senator Azamat also, I think he's going to speak on this, that the Babur and his lineage, they were not Mughals. And in Uzbekistan, there, of course, Timuris. And he's going to elaborate more on this subject. So, ladies and gentlemen, Uzbekistan is not just a neighbor in geography. It is a teacher, a guide, a source of spiritual nourishment for our region. And Uzbekistan has produced some of the most remarkable scholars. If there is some repetition, please do excuse me. We have discussed Hazrat Imam Bukhari. Now his mausoleum should be nearly complete. Last year we visited it, a huge complex, very beautiful. His work is still taught in Pakistan's madrasas and universities, and not only in Pakistan, but even in the Middle East. Al-Baruni. Al-Baruni spent a lot of time in this area, what is now Pakistan, and he measured the circumference of the earth from a place, Tilla Jogia, which all the army officers know, near Jhelum. So at that time, he measured the circumference of the earth from there. He also wrote, of course, Kitabul Hind, which is very well known, and his observations are still studied worldwide by scholars. Imam Tirmizi, of course, another great scholar of Hadith, is also very well known in the Muslim world. Al-Khwarizmi, the mathematician, great scholar. Mirza Ulugh Beg, who was a Timuri prince, mathematician and astronomer of Samarkand. And his observatory still stands today in Samarkand and is really a place worth visiting. The first time when I went there, I was told that the Soviets also measured, various tables and all, which he had done. And they had done it through computers. But his observations were more accurate than the computer. So Ulugh Beg. So this is the Islamic scholarship in those days. Of course, Alisher Tukhtayev has been mentioned a lot. He is the great poet of Herat and a symbol of Uzbek literature. So through these scholars and many others, Uzbekistan has provided not only religious guidance, but also intellectual leadership, shaping how science, philosophy, and literature evolved in our part of the world. Talking about the Babur legacy, I think a lot will be said later also. When Babur came into the subcontinent, he brought with him refined architecture, garden culture, and administrative traditions of Uzbekistan. Lahore today, which you will be visiting, our friends from Uzbekistan, and was transformed under Mughal rule, with monuments like Shalimar Gardens, Lahore Fort, and Badsai Mosque reflecting the Timuri aesthetics rooted in Samarkand and Andijan. The effects of the Timuris was felt as far down as in the south of the subcontinent. In Hyderabad, for example, the dynasty of Hyderabad the Nizam of Hyderabad's family, they trace their descent from Samarkand. So you can imagine the infiltration by the Timuris and their culture in the subcontinent. Uzbek tile work, calligraphy, and miniature painting strongly influenced Timuri architecture and art. The Shah Jahan Mosque in Thatta, which very few people may have visited, still displays the blue tile patterns reminiscent of these from Samarkand. The linguistic connection is equally deep. For centuries, Persian was the court language in both regions, and many Turkic words from Uzbekistan entered Persian and later Urdu, Pakistan's national language. I am told that uh, there are more than 8 or 9,000 common words between Uzbek, the Uzbek language, and Urdu. Cuisine. Uh, I am very fond of cuisine, as you can maybe make out. Uh, the best pulao I have had is in Uzbekistan. Another common factor, Uzbek pulao. And if somebody of you gets a chance, he must have it. The best samosas I have had were when I was in Bukhara. I have never had samosas like this. So, ladies and gentlemen, today Pakistan and Uzbekistan are not only looking back with pride, but also reviving these links in meaningful ways. There have been various cultural exhibitions, as the ambassador has already pointed out. In February 2025, Lahore hosted the first ever Made in Uzbekistan exhibition with over 100 Uzbek companies participating. In June 2024, Tashkent hosted the Made in Pakistan exhibition with over 80 Pakistani firms participating, a revival of the old Silk Road spirit. Tourism and, of course, culture. Again, the Pearl of the Silk Road, already mentioned by His Excellency, were held in Lahore, Karachi, and Islamabad. Education and people to people contacts. This is a very, I think, important subject. We have religious tourism, people go to Uzbekistan, but I have always suggested that there should be more interaction at the level of the youth, and there should be more interaction at the level of the think tanks of Pakistan and Uzbekistan. We have Ambassador Khalid sitting here from ISSI. He and I attended the first SCO think tank meeting in Tashkent. Education and people to people links, both the governments have signed various agreements, and scholarship for students, Uzbek students have already been mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end, we must realize that our past shows that what Pakistan and Uzbekistan, how are they connected? Through trade, knowledge, and culture. The story of Pakistan and Uzbekistan is a story of shared faith, shared scholars, shared art, and shared dreams. From Imam al-Bukhari to Ulugh Beg to al-Biruni to Babar, from the blue domes of Samarkand to the red sandstone of Lahore, our histories are intertwined. As we celebrate this heritage, let us also commit to building a future where culture, education, and friendship continue to bind us together, ensuring that the Pakistan Uzbekistan partnership remains strong for generations to come. Thank you very much.